Hello. It's Trini here. How are you all? Welcome to my craft table. Well, it's that time of the week again. It's our unfinished projects and time to dive in and randomly pull two of these packets of unfinished projects and challenge myself to get these finished. Often I don't remember initially what I had plans for, so we just have a look and we see what we can do. So let's get in there, and I'm just going to close my eyes and just randomly select two packets. Oh, this feels like a nice thick one. All right, let's see what we've got. Okay, so it looks like I spilt the contents out and it looks like we're doing altered cards. Okay, I've been wanting to do this for a while actually, so that's pretty cool. And it looks like I've gathered some things together, but often I don't remember what I intended, so we won't worry about that. And oh my goodness, this is another project I've been wanting to do for a while too, and this is making those matchbook style pads out of all your scrap papers. So wow, what a great challenge. All right, let me get myself organized and let me gather some supplies. Right, so I've been through all my papers. I've kind of corralled them all up, and now I've started to sort them in different piles because I've got some measurements here, and I'm going to kind of make three different styles. These got given to me in some happy mail. I added this, but I like the style of it. I just think for me it's a little bit long for the type of journals that I make. So I'm going to shorten them. So we're going to make kind of these type. And then this is just your classic type with a little bit of decorative card and then just folded over. And then I've got this style here, which we'll fill with some papers. So what I've done is I've been through my papers and I have kind of put them into little piles. These over here are good. So my longest one is going to be 12 centimeters. So anything longer than 12 centimeters is in this pile here, and anything wider than 10 centimeters or 8 centimeters is in this pile here. And I say because I'm going to make two. So I'm going to make the medium size one. The width is 8 centimeters, but the smaller square styled one is a little bit wider, so that's going to be 10 centimeters. So what I've done is I've put all my sort of loose scrappy bits of paper in here, and now I'm just going to trim them up. So sheets like this I'm going to trim down to, let's say, 8 centimeters, because I think I've got enough of the 10 centimeter wide ones. I might leave a few 10 centimeters wide, but it doesn't matter because we're going to stagger them. They don't have to be exactly 10 centimeters. So I'm going to go through, I found this bit of file folder here, which I'm going to run through the embossing machine and give that a little bit of a pattern so that we can get something like that. So let me get that organized and then we'll be back. Right, so I've got my three sizes here. We'll start off with the easy one. So, what I would consider the easy one. So this is the one that we're just simply going to come across, and we're going to score at the, let's say, 1 inch mark. And then we're going to go over one notch and score at the 1 1/8 inch. And so we're going to fold that on both of the score lines. Okay, so now we've got our little booklet ready to go. The next one is, this one ended up being 20 centimeters. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold that in half, make a little crease there, and I'm going to bring that down, and I'm just going to score roughly just on either side of that halfway. So now when I fold that like so. We've got a little booklet. It's a little bit long just on that side there, so I'm just going to trim that. And I'll just cut my papers to fit. So now we've got a booklet like that. This one is 17 centimeters, or it is about 6 5/8, and width-wise it is 3 1/8, or I think that's 8 centimeters. Yep. So we're going to come along and we're going to score at the 1 inch. We're going to go over 1 notch, 1 1/8 inch, and then we're going to score at, well, I'm just going to turn it around because I'm going to cheat, and we're going to score it at the 1 inch down there. So now what we've got is, we fold our little score lines. Now we've got that, but it's a little bit shorter, which I think for my size journals will be a good size. Okay, so I have cut down all my scraps of paper. These papers I've collected for about the last 6 or 7 years, so I have now cut them down into various sizes, and I've loosely also put them in order of like width. And the reason I did that I'll explain in a minute. So I've just got, you know, wider piles here or longer piles, and then I sort of go down. These are just, I actually found these in an op shop, and they're just little mini index cards, but on the reverse they're plain. So I thought they would be handy to put into these little notebooks. These ones are just interesting little textures. That's just an offcut that had a bit of stitching on it. That's just a pretty, you know, piece of paper, and just interesting torn textured sort of pieces. So I've put them in there, and then I've cut, you know, the pattern paper. This is like a bit of a, from a book, and it's probably like a fly page or something like that. And so these I can use, you know, for decorative purposes. So I have been busy. We'll pop these over here now because I've shown you those. So I've gathered all my bits of paper, and these are the two that I had that were given to me, I believe, in some happy mail. So I have kind of just put this little weighted strip. This is a piece of fabric, but it's very, very heavy. It's like a twill cotton, but it's quite heavy, and I love it, but I sort of was a bit disappointed when I got it because I thought, oh, it's just a bit too heavy. But I found that it actually worked out well in this, because I've cut a length and then I've glued on these buttons and I've sewn them. I'll show you insert me sewing the buttons. And then what I have done, I've put a little bit of glue on the end here because it does tend to fray. So on both ends I did put a little bit of glue, and I'm just going to tuck that under there like that. I'll add a little bit of glue to the top and then tuck it in under, and then I'll just let that dry, and then I'll decorate it. So this is what I've done here. You can see I've attached it already, I've glued it, and then I'm just going to finish it off with a nice little bit of collage. So we can do that now. I'll just move all these bits away. Now actually, before we get into that, in preparation for this video, I did put together a freebie. So these are just, I've got 5 journals that I'm working on. So there's a bunny one, an autumn one, a bee themed one, botanical, and a Easter. And these are some William Morris patterns, which I think go beautifully with botanical sort of patterns. So I've done these in strips, almost like extra large washi strips. So I've linked that down below, and that's available for free on my Ko-fi site. And the way I've used it is, for example, just these are just some patterns here. So this is this pattern here, and that's how I've used them. I'm using them as decorative borders, and then this is the Strawberry Thief one here. So we'll go through that in a sec, but I just wanted to finish this one off here. So this is a little bit of, I'm not sure actually if that is William Morris, but it's very, very spring sort of oriented. So that one goes here. So I just cut a little strip and I've just rounded the corners. So I'm going to glue that one down. So this one will suit, I think, a 1950s style journal or a sort of like a vintage sewing type journal. I'm not sure if I really want to ink the edges. I don't think I will because nothing else is inked. So I think I'll leave this because I think it looks lovely the way it is. I will be making those type of journals, but that'll be later in the year. So this is just in preparation for when I make those journals. And I just thought that top page there with the lovely butterfly pattern in the tea dye in the background there, and then we'll just, this fussy cut I got on Etsy. I think I just searched something like vintage retro women fussy cut, something like that. Okay, and then that one. Right, so that one's done, and this one here, I'll just get the fabric glue, and I'm just putting a little bit of the glue on the top here. And then I'll just carefully slide it under here. So now that makes a nice weight just to keep that flap closed. And I'll just finish decorating the bottom down here. It's actually not a bad little style. I mean, you would have to put something to weight down. Actually, I did copy the style for a smaller one, and then I realized that this was not going to suit it, so I came up with another solution. So I'm going to do like a vintage woman's, but 1950s era. So one of these will go into that journal, and then I'm going to do a vintage sewing. That may or may not suit. I can't remember if I'm planning on doing different types of sewing themed journals, because you can get your vintage one or you can do like a fabric sampler one. So other than that, it'd probably go really nicely in an eclectic style journal, I would think. Alright, so that's that one there. So those two are done. You can just pull that back, and then you've got your leaves of loose paper. So I think that would be a lovely little insert for a journal. So let's finish these ones off. Okay, so this one is just a matter of what I did was I got together some bits of paper, and I will now stitch across there, and I decorated it with a die cut that I have, and that will finish that one off. This one here, okay, this one I thought would be like an autumn one, so I think what I'll do is I'll glue that down, and that would make a nice decorative piece that you can tear out. And then we'll finish off this one here. So I think if I cut that around about there. All right, so I will finish sewing that one. And this one here, this was the more square one. So I picked out some papers and I thought that that butterfly went so well. This was actually papers that I found that were all different, like they had lovely different textures on the bottom there of the torn edge. So I started layering them together, and that's what gave me the idea to pull anything like that out, because I thought that was a nice way of decorating the first few pages. And also I thought this was really nice to, this is a die cut butterfly that I have had lying around forever. So I'm glad to get that in to something, a finished piece now. And I thought that that looked so nice with the punched edge of that piece of paper there. So now this one I will glue down. So this has also turned out to be a great little Scrapbusters project. So I think I will now keep all my little scrappy bits of, well, I've always kept them. I've always, mainly these are like when I've made journals in the past and I've had bits that I think I might put that right across there. Yeah, so when I've made journals in the past and then I've, you know, cut off bits, or like, you know, when I've done tea dyeing and you get those kind of ripped edges, this is where I keep them. So I think this is my system now, that anything small I will just keep in this scrappy bag, and then we will make these little notebooks out of them. All right, so that's that. So we will get that one sewed. And this one here, this is the one that I had to really think about. And this is honestly just, this is actually some food packaging. And I did make some ephemera, which I've got on my Instagram as a reel, but I will do a video because it's such a lovely idea, and also that reel was quite popular. So I will do a video to show what I did there, but this is just a little offcut from it. Okay, and I remember this offcut. I made some bird themed journals. It was not the first journals I made, but certainly one of the first few, and it was they were such beautiful journals. I made two. I made a garden themed, a bird themed, and then I made a frog themed. And this is a scrap from from those journals. Okay, so I have got all my papers here. I found that in amongst it, so I thought, well, all right, I'll make that the front cover bit. But then I thought, now this is the sunflower from that freebie, so I actually think I will ink the edges of this one. All right, so that one we will stitch across. So I will end up stitching across there. which leaves this little flap, and what I thought I would do is just get one of these little clips, and that can sit on the side like that. Okay, and finally we've got this one here. So I've got all these little bits here. So this one I will stitch across here like so. So let's decorate the front. I just love this pink one. And then we will just sit that little mattress. I don't think we need that piece there, so I'll put that back over here. So, all right, I will just cut that about there. And these are embossed. I don't know if that shows up on the camera, but it's got a lovely little embossed sort of pattern to it. So I'll just ink the edges of this one. All right, so this cute little bunny here. This is a little cottontail bunny. So we're a bit heavy with the glue there. We just try and get some of that glue off onto the label. Okay, so we'll carefully put our little bunny here. And then we've got our label, which says naturalists. So I thought that was quite worked out quite well. All right, so now what I'll do is I will go and sew these all up, and I think that's pretty much the end of the project. Then we've got the playing cards to do. All right, so it has been a busy afternoon, but they're all done. So these two I showed you earlier, but so happy to have them finished. So this is how our little bunny, this is going to go into the bunny themed journal. So we've got all those lovely bits of paper, and that's what I've done on the back. I put a little bit of washi tape to cover up the sewing, and this is going to be the autumn one. I'm debating whether I want to round the corners, but I think I'll leave it for now. And I was also trying to decide what to do, because I've sewn this down, but I wasn't sure what to do with the flap. So I thought I might just put one of these little mini bulldog clips. I got these from Temu, and you get a lot for only a few dollars. So, and they're not that big, and I think that would look nice tucked into a pocket. So I did the same with this one. I mean, you wouldn't really need it. If you put it into a pocket, you could probably just leave it like that, but I've got the option there if I want to leave the little bulldog clip on. So that's how that one looks. And then there's this one here. So we can take the little clip off the bottom here, and that's been sewn, so you can tear your little sheets off, and then you can put your clip back on. And I did decorate the back because there was a little bit of sewing, plus it had a few stains on it, so I just put that on the back. And again, I did this one here. I really like how this turned out. I really like the die cut butterfly with the punched edge, so I think I'm going to do that again. So I have sewn across here, and then we can secure that down with a bulldog clip. So there they all are. So arrange them all out neatly. I think the little bunny one and the sewing ones are one of my favorites. I mean, they're all good, but I think, you know, I am a bit of a sucker when it comes to bunnies. And then with my scraps, what I've done is now I've got them all neatly in a little envelope, Scrappy Notebook papers. So on the other side I've got my decorative strips, and I've just got my die cuts and some other fussy cuts that I didn't use. And then I've got these papers ready to go, so if I want to make some more, there's my little kit. So guys, we still have the playing cards to do, but what I'll do is I'll release that video on Wednesday. You can catch up with that in a couple of days' time. So guys, I think that's it for me for this portion of the video. Make sure you stay tuned. Make sure that if you want to catch more videos like this and see what I end up doing with the playing cards, if you'd like to subscribe, that would be great, and hit that notification bell so that you are alerted when my videos upload. So guys, that's it for me. Have a great time creating, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.